The observation deck of the Valiant Dawn hummed with its usual symphony of alien voices. But today something different caught Mary's attention. 3 Crixian cubs barely past their molting season huddled around a makeshift workspace, their crystalline eyes fixed on her every movement. Engineer Mary, the smallest one, chirped, its translator rendering the clicks into something approximating reverence. Is it true humans fix things that are broken? Mary looked up from the nav console she'd been repairing, wiping grease from her hands. The question seemed simple enough, but the way all 3 cubs leaned forward suggested something deeper at play. Sure, we fix things. That's my job. She gestured at the console. This old girl's been acting up for weeks. The middle cub's mandibles clicked rapidly. Excitement, Mary had learned. But you don't have to fix it. Command Officer Bryce said the replacement arrives in 2 cycles. Mary shrugged, returning to her work. Yeah, but this one still has life in it. Shame to scrap something that just needs a little attention. The cubs exchanged glances, their head crests fluttering in a way that made Mary think of confused puppies. She'd been on the Joint Fleet vessel for 8 months now, long enough to recognize when the non-human crew found human behavior particularly baffling. What's this really about? She asked, setting down her tools. The largest cub stepped forward, clutching something wrapped in standard issue cloth. We found this in Recycling Bay 7. We thought, perhaps you could. The cloth fell away, revealing a battered music player human make, at least 40 years old by Mary's estimation. The screen was cracked, the casing dented, and one of the control buttons hung by a wire. Please, the cub said softly. Commander Bryce looks at the recycling manifest every evening. He sees it there. His scent changes, becomes ... sad. Mary's chest tightened. She recognized the model. These players had been standard issue for the colony ships of the 2160s. Bryce had mentioned once, late during a shared watch, that he'd grown up on Horizon's Promise, one of the generation ships that had finally made landfall 3 decades ago. You want me to fix this for him? The Crixian teach. What breaks stays broken, what dies stays dead. The strong survive, the weak are recycled. The cub's translator couldn't quite capture the emotion in its voice. But humans fix things, even when it costs more than replacing. Even when logic says to abandon. We've watched you repair systems the fleet would discard. We've seen you save seeds from the hydroponics bay when disease struck, nursing them back to health when new stock waited in cargo. The smallest cub piped up again. You fix what you love. We want to understand this. Mary picked up the music player, turning it over in her hands. The weight of it spoke of old-world engineering, built to last but not invincible against time and use. She could see where someone, probably Bryce himself, had already attempted repairs with whatever materials were available. All right, she said finally, but you 3 are helping. If you want to understand humans, you're going to learn by doing. Over the next 3 days, the observation deck became an impromptu workshop. Mary showed the cubs how to assess damage, how to source alternative parts when originals weren't available, how to work with patience when circuits refused to cooperate. Why not replicate new components? The middle cub asked as Mary carefully soldered a connection. Because these connections carry history, Mary explained. Every scratch, every repair tells a story. Bryce probably listened to his parents' voices on this thing. Maybe he fell asleep to music from Earth. You can't replicate that. The cubs absorbed everything, their natural predatory focus redirected toward creation rather than destruction. The smallest one proved surprisingly adept at fine motor work, its hunting talons perfect for delicate wire manipulation. On the 4th evening, as Mary was running final diagnostics, Bryce himself appeared on the observation deck. His expression shifted when he saw the gathering curiosity to recognition to something that might have been hope. What's his voice caught as he spotted the music player, now reassembled and gleaming under the work lights. Is that the cubs brought it to me, Mary said, stepping back. Thought you might want it back. Bryce moved forward slowly, reverently. His hands trembled as he picked up the device. When he pressed the power button and a familiar melody drifted out, scratchy but clear, something in his carefully maintained military bearing cracked. My mother's favorite song, he whispered. I thought I'd lost this forever. The screen broke 2 years ago, and I couldn't. He looked at Mary, then at the 3 cubs, watching with intense focus. You fixed it. We fixed it, Mary corrected, nodding toward the cubs. They wanted to learn why humans fix what we love. The largest cub stepped forward, its translator rendering its words with unusual precision. We understand now. You do not fix objects. You fix connections. You fix memory. You fix what makes you you. Bryce knelt down, bringing himself eye level with the cubs. Thank you, all of you. The change started small. A week later, a Threll engineer appeared at Mary's station with a broken chronometer family heirloom. It explained that it had assumed was beyond saving. Mary taught it the basics of maintenance, and the chronometer resumed its ancient ticking dot. Then a Vashti pilot brought fragments of a ceremonial blade. A Kresh navigator requested help with a photo display device. Each time, Mary worked with them, teaching the philosophy as much as the mechanics. Nothing is truly dead if its purpose remains. The observation deck became known throughout the fleet as the repair bay, not in any official capacity, but in the way places become important through shared understanding. Crew members from a dozen species gathered there, learning to fix not just objects but the pieces of themselves they'd thought lost. Bryce often stopped by during his rounds, ostensibly to check on activities, but really just to listen to his restored music player and watch the transformation taking place. "You started something," he told Mary one evening, as a Crixian adult worked alongside its cubs to repair a meditation sphere. "No," Mary replied, watching the family unit work together with focused intensity. "I just reminded everyone that some things are worth saving. That's not a human trait, it's a people trait. We just needed to show them it was possible." The smallest cub looked up from its work and clicked something that didn't quite translate. But Mary understood anyway. In teaching others to fix what they loved, they'd begun fixing something larger, the distance between species, the assumption that different meant incompatible. The fleet had always been strong. Now it was learning to be whole.